All right. Hi, everybody. Come on in. Share the feed if you would. We are here back at the holler with Rep YUSUF. HAKEEM is joining us. Rep HAKEEM, how are you today?
Just fine, sir. You?
I am good. So before we get into this, I just want to let people know they can follow us at all the hollers all across the state. We have a holler in Chattanooga, which is where Representative HAKEEM represents. tnholler.com is where you can chip in and support and make it $10 a month or more, and you get a sweet holler hat like the one I'm wearing. So today we're going to talk about something specific. I'm hearing a little feedback. I don't know if that's you or me. Might be me. Are you hearing that too?
No.
Okay. The issue today that we're going to talk about, I'm trying to solve this problem. Let me see if it's my headphones. Is that better?
I'm good.
You're good. Okay. All right. Maybe if you guys could comment and let me know if it's just me that's hearing that, that would be good. But anyway, what we're talking about today is an issue that has been in the news lately. The Republican tantrum about the fact that there have been some unaccompanied minor children that have had the gall to set foot in Tennessee. First, there was this report that late night flights carrying migrant children arrived in Chattanooga. It was all this drama about late night kids coming in. Obviously Blackburn made a big thing about it, calling it a migrant crisis in Chattanooga. She wasn't the only one. Chuck Fleischman did the same thing. Blackburn, demanded answers, all of this stuff. Well, now we come to find out that actually under Trump, there were more kids that had come to Chattanooga, as a free press chart just showed us. Those 3 years under Trump, there were more kids coming in. And then also, we've also come to find out that Governor Lee had issued a license about this. So Representative HAKEEM, I guess my first question to you would be, were you aware that this was happening before the tantrum?
I don't recall being aware of it. It was in the media where I first had word of it. And that was when, the children were photographed, filmed at the airport. And that's when it became known to me. Yes.
Okay. And what are the kids doing there? Like, what's happening?
Well, they are in a secure, when I say a secure location, one where they are cared for, their needs, education. This is on a campus within my district, and it's run by a local church, which has a relationship with, I believe it's called the Baptiste organization. And there was no concern from the community that I'm aware of. All of this sort of blew up out of whole cloth.
And why do you think that happened?
Well, in my view, either the administration and the legislators, as far as the leadership is concerned, were wrong or misinforming the public. Because all of the information that they are asking for in the proposed committee is already available. And I don't know what the need is for the committee unless you want to fix some false blame on the new administration.
So you mentioned the committee. That's mentioned in an article that you're quoted in the Tennessee Lookout. Basically, Republicans are starting a committee in the state legislature to demand answers about all of this that's going on. And my understanding is that there are no Democrats on this committee. Is this committee just an entirely partisan exercise that's intended to fearmonger about brown children, basically?
In my view, in my perspective, it is not one that is intended to give a balanced perspective. It's one intended to give those who putting it together to have a perspective, the outcome, one that they adhere to. And I think that's very unfortunate because I believe our citizens in the state of Tennessee deserve the truth, the facts, as opposed to creating, we'll say, making a mountain out of a molehill.
So again, just to show a couple more headlines, this was shock video, children secretly flying into Tennessee at night, and then again, we've come to find out from the Free Press that a year before the outrage, there was a license given to the shelter by the Lee administration. So, here they are pretending to be extremely concerned about this. What's the situation in Chattanooga? Have you heard since this has blown up? Has that changed anything? Have people been, calling your office demanding answers, or, is there more of a spirit of, we need to help these kids?
Well, as far as my experience, that's what's happened. People have shown that kind of spirit of helping those who are vulnerable and who need our help. And it's very unfortunate that people are taking this up. Some people are taking this opportunity to spread fear, to spread misinformation about children. And I don't know of a more vulnerable group of people that you can deal with beyond children.
Have they said anything about what they think should be happening to these kids? I mean, they've made such a big deal about what they called the crisis at the border, and they claim to care about what happens to these kids. What do they think should happen to these kids, if not uniting them with their families?
Mm-hmm. Well, firstly, I think we have to look at the fact that both the former President Trump, his administration, and the current Biden administration are abiding by the same guidelines, the same rules that were already in place. And as you stated earlier, there were more children under the Trump administration than there are under the Biden administration who've been placed in Tennessee or who have come through Tennessee going to other locations. All I'm hearing is there needs to be more transparency. I'm not hearing it. Well, I did hear that the potential cost for these children and their care, but someone hasn't been looking at the contract and looking at what has been done. The state has been reviewing what's happening in this location for every month and writing reports. And so that's one of the reasons it makes me feel like that it's more political than a concern, a crisis that is being talked about.
On that note, it reminds me of the controversy when Governor Lee got in some hot water with his own party when he was for taking in refugees.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he's anticipating a similar challenge from the right on this, that people are going to get mad at him for having signed off on having migrant kids come into the state, and so he's trying to get out in front of that by saying, no, I didn't know anything about this? Is that part of this?
Well, I would think if indeed, and it does lend itself, that would be a perspective that is being looked at by the administration. If that is the case, I think it takes away from any consistency he may have. It makes it looks like more hypocrisy. And, I'm a Christian, just like he and a lot of other people in the state of Tennessee. And I don't feel that what is being done is in accord with our faith, our understanding. And so politically, I think he is doing some calculations, but there are times when you have to stand up for what you believe in, as opposed to what is in quote, in political best interest.
Do you see a lot of that in this state, where people who claim to be doing what's best, what's talked about in the Bible, actually are doing the opposite? Do you feel like that happens a lot?
I see that in our leadership, both in the legislature and in administration. It's as though, well, if you look at it, this is not an issue that is, quote, subject to just state of Tennessee. This is broader in a number of other states. So there's a concerted effort to take this, for this to be a wedge issue, so to speak. Just like we talk about, the critical
race theory,
and other things. instead of dealing with children and their needs, instead of dealing with our health care situation in Tennessee, where you have over 700,000 people in need of health care, the working poor, instead of dealing with issues like that, we have these cultural issues. And I think that is not good for the citizens of the state of Tennessee.
And this immigration issue is the thing that they focus on. I mean, they started talking about this the minute Biden won. This is obviously something that they think is a winning issue for them.
Yeah.
Marsha Blackburn loves to say every state is a border state. What do you think about that? We are clearly not, but she wants us to be.
Yeah. Well, Senator Blackburn, I think she has her perspective, her view. But I think we have to, as leaders, she's more, at federal level and I'm at a state level. What is in the best interest of our citizens? What is the example, the role model we want to set? And I think a lot of people, when I say a lot of people, leaders got out in front of this issue without doing their research, their due diligence. And I feel that the governor had to know about the contracts, the reports that are being written every month, and the legislature, all the leaders, all they had to do was ask the administration, I would think. But as though all of them have taken the mindset that, oh no, this is critical, this is something we have to deal with, but the facts are already there in your records.
Right. So, facts are pesky things, and they really don't want to take responsibility for the fact that this was all in the record. So I think that's really well said. I appreciate you coming on here. Thanks for fighting the good fight. Thanks for talking to us about this. Please keep us posted on what goes on with this. And, it's just a shame that it's the most vulnerable people that end up bearing the brunt of this kind of political faux outrage.
Yes, sir. I agree. And thank you for the opportunity to be with you.
Thank you, Rep. HAKEEM. Appreciate it.
Yes.
So that's Representative HAKEEM in Chattanooga talking about, again, this fake controversy, as we've been calling it, about these kids who are in Chattanooga. More kids were in Chattanooga under Trump. There have been contracts in place signed off on by Governor Lee, and yet they decided to make it this big thing. These were the headlines. Shock video shows Biden secretly flying migrant children. I mean, right out of the Republican fever swamps. And it's really a shame that it's these kids that bear the brunt of it, because we do have people in the state that are just going to lap that stuff up. And, you got Marsha Blackburn demanding answer. This was in her Blackburn report that I am unfortunate enough to be getting in my inbox. I'm sure a lot of people in Tennessee are too, demanding answers on. I mean, she is so shameless with this stuff. And really, right when Biden won, the very first thing she did was go to the border. She actually didn't go to the border. She went to like a county in Arizona that wasn't even on the border. But anyway, went to the border to start fear mongering. This goes back to the caravan stuff. This is the issue that they think apparently is strong for them, and they don't care who gets hurt because of it. So appreciate Representative HAKEEM coming on. This is, again, this partisan committee that's being put together with no Democrats on it, where they'll sit around and act like the sky is falling, and they'll make a meal out of this and they'll fundraise off of it. And this will be the next big thing that they deal with. So again, we'll try to keep getting to the bottom of the answers, but the bottom line is more kids were here under Trump. Lee signed off on it, and this is bogus. Join us in about 40 minutes. We're going to have J.Y. Sexton on here to talk about how our democracy is falling apart. Talk to you in a little bit.